My name is Julie Turner. I'm a cancer survivor, and I'm the state lead ambassador for the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network. And this is my friend, Sarah Morris, also a cancer survivor, and she is American Cancer Society staff in Dayton. Sarah and I were both diagnosed with cancer at age 17, so she's sort of my cancer sister, although I'm 32 years older than her. Um, we also have with us our Ohio Grassroots Relations Director, Mr. Jeff Stevens. Here's Jeff on his bicycle. He is quite the cyclist, and also with us is Lauren Kodum. She's also staff, and folks from Dayton might say that she's the perfect yellow springer, and she likes to read. So she's got her book with her. And the four of us are going to talk about the 2020 ACS CAN Cancer Action Day prep.
We want to thank you for participating in our annual Cancer Action Day, which even in this remote format is the best opportunity for us volunteers to unite our voices and ask our elected officials to make cancer programs and legislation a state priority. Alone, we can use our voice to share our stories, but together, united with the strength and reputation of the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network behind us, we are loud, cancer-fighting team, and we are hard to deny. We are, of course, disappointed that we are not able to be face-to-face this May, but we still have a great opportunity for a great day together that will connect us and allow us to still use our voices. We invite you to ask a friend to join you, as there is still time to register, and know anyone that you have that's impacted by cancer, please ask them to be a part of this with you.
Lauren has been getting very creative in planning an experience that will bring volunteers together and will be meaningful for each volunteer as well as impactful for our elected officials. Here is a quick rundown of our schedule that we're planning for May 14th. From 9 o'clock until 10 o'clock, we're going to host a kickoff call, a pep rally, if you will, and we are going to have an update from Jeff Stevens on what we're going to talk about for the day, and we're going to have some awards to volunteers and lawmakers. Now, if we don't have time to do that in the morning, we'll do that at lunchtime. At 12 o'clock at lunchtime, we're going to have some great key speakers, and as I said, we might have some awards and presentations. And then from 3 to 3:30, we're going to have a wrap-up call and a WebEx. Throughout the day, we will schedule a conference call for you and your lawmakers, and it may be with his or her staff member, to talk about some policy issues. If for some reason we can't schedule a conference call, we will arrange a power hour for you that will include calling the office, emailing your lawmaker, and taking to social media. Don't worry, your mentor will guide you through this every step of the way.
Like we said, we know that this situation isn't ideal and that face-to-face, eye-to-eye is what we prefer. But we know that even through this virtual experience, it will be extremely impactful and meaningful. Your mentor, as Julie said, will be in touch with you if they haven't already to coordinate you and all the other volunteers who may be with you to structure your meeting in this new conference call format. But if you rely on the resources that ACS CAN provides and this video, your training guide, you'll be prepared and ready for your meeting on May 14th. So don't sweat the day. Each volunteer this year will receive an email from ACS CAN leadership or volunteers like Julie or myself, and you may have already received this email. We're going to be here for you to answer any questions that you might have about Cancer Action Day. You will be assigned a mentor, as we said. This person will guide you through the experience and your meeting virtually. They will reach out by email, and they may schedule some time prior to introduce yourselves as a group, share your stories together, and be able to just chat and discuss how we're going to present our hook, line, and sinkers on this new call format with our elected officials.
You will not make that call alone. At least one other person will be with you. Some urban districts may have smaller groups, while more rural areas may have as many as 10 volunteers on the call. And I know that sounds really strange, but here's why. The urban districts tend to be smaller and the rural districts geographically larger. For example, in Northwest Ohio, there will be about 8 people on one state Senate meeting. But when it comes to the House meetings, there may be only 2. So keep in mind, it is important to call in on the scheduled time. And if you do that, Lauren will be so happy. She might even do a Lauren dance. Know that you will speak with your elected official and or a staff person. And I want you to know that it's just as important to talk with a staff person, because guess who reads legislation? Pages and pages of legislation. Guess who talks to your elected official about particular issues that they'll be casting votes on? And guess who's going to make a recommendation to that elected official? You guessed it, it's the aide that you just met with. Before Cancer Action Day, you're going to receive an array of information sheets and fact sheets for you to prepare for your meetings. You'll also receive talking points and a training guide. One of the nice things about being on a call as opposed to being face-to-face is that you can prepare a draft of your message and actually read it like this. And it makes it much easier to get everything into your call, and it'll make the ability to tell your stories even easier with no pressure, and you will be reading your script and telling your story. We will provide a leave behind document that you will have for your elected official. Because we're not in person, you will email or you will present the fact sheets in an email document for your elected official.
We would like to discuss how we will hold these meetings efficiently with your elected officials or their staff, utilizing our process that we call the hook, line, and sinker. If you have a conference call scheduled, it is super important that you are on time, even if not a little bit early. The hook, line, and sinker is the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network's best practices guideline for conducting a meeting with your elected official. It is always used when presenting your introduction, which is your ask of your elected official, and getting that elected official's response. For example, after the hook introduction, Julie, you take the line about tobacco, and I'll take the line about tanning beds. Or you take the sinker or the elected official's response. So this year, it's even more important that we get to discuss these prior to our calls and who will be saying which parts. Deciding who will take which part and role in the meeting is what your mentor will help guide you through on your preparatory call. So don't worry about that right now. So let's talk about step 1, the hook. Here's an example. My name is Sarah Morris, and I am American Cancer Society staff from Dayton, Ohio, and I'm a cancer survivor. This is Julie Turner, and she is an ACS CAN volunteer from Vandalia, Ohio. She is also a cancer survivor, and she owes her entire adult life to elected officials like yourself who funded the research that saved her life in 1975.
So the second part of your meeting will be the line. This would be the meat, if you will, of the meeting. for all House and Senate meetings. And an example might be, Senator Lehner, thank you for taking time to meet with us today. I'm really worried that we aren't doing enough to protect Ohio's youth from cancer. And to be honest, some of our youth are worried as well. You know how involved I am with the American Cancer Society and the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network and ACS's local Relay for Life. I've met so many students from Brookville High School who see people they love addicted to smoking, but who are unable to quit. My young friend Lauren Malsey watched both of her parents smoke, her brother smoke, her aunt and her half-sister smoke. She's grateful that her parents and her brother were able to quit, but wishes her sister and would quit as well. She's really worried about her sister, and you see, her sister's father died from cancer caused by smoking. She saw him weak, she saw him short of breath and coughing up blood. And then she looks at his daughter, her sister, and now knows how painful it is to lose her dad. And then she imagines what life would be if she loses her sister in the same way. I know exactly how Lauren feels. I watch my son-in-law use tobacco and think about what fighting cancer was like for me, and I don't want that for him or for my two sweet grandchildren. Ohio needs to do everything possible to reduce the tobacco epidemic. Our cessation and prevention funding program that was roughly $35 million in the early 2000s has seen a dramatic reduction to Ohio's tobacco use until those funds were cut. Now we're funding the Ohio Department of Health at only $12 million, a fraction of what's needed to curb the youth tobacco epidemic. When you account for e-cigarettes and combined with combustible tobacco use, almost 37% of all high school students use tobacco products, and that's just unacceptable to me. If I could do one thing to prevent people from going through this, I would. If we could do one thing to prevent a child from watching someone they love fight cancer, then we should.
So now a second ask, speaking of everything we do that we can do to prevent future incidences of cancer, did you know that indoor tanning beds are a Class A carcinogen? It's distressing to me that we continue to put teenagers in harm's way. Melanoma is the most common serious form of skin cancer and is expected to be diagnosed in more than 2,200 Ohioans alone this year, and more than 300 Ohioans will die from melanoma. I remember seeing kids when I was in high school tan, and it terrified me that I may put myself even at risk when I think of all of my classmates and the fact that we were tanning. Melanoma incident rates have been increasing for more than 30 years, and we've seen recent rapid increases among young white women ages 15 to 39. And I'm part of that age group. Again, if we could do one thing to prevent one person from going through what I went through as a cancer patient, we should do it. It seems simple to me. Save lives by preventing kids under age 18 from being able to tan. Thankfully, there is a bill in the House Health Committee that has no opposition. I hope you will support it.
So the last part, and probably the most important part, is called the sinker. The sinker is asking the legislator or their staff their position on these issues. Be positive and succinct. Something like this. Senator Lehner, can we count on you to help prevent Ohioans from future cancer? To help prevent one more kid from ever using tobacco products and providing more programs for our kids and adults who want to quit? And do you support legislation that would prevent anyone under the age of 18 from using a tanning bed? So you stop there and you let the elected official and or the staff give their opinion. If it's not a support, stop. If their position is no, your response might be, we have some additional information for you today that we're going to leave with you, and I would hope that you would read it and understand why this issue is very important to me. If their position is unknown or undecided, suggest that you will contact them within a couple of weeks to retrieve the legislator's thoughts and position.
So let's review that really quickly, the hook, line, and sinker. In review, the hook is a brief introduction, which includes your name, hometown, and your connection to cancer. Each of you will receive a virtual training guide, as we've mentioned. So on page 6 of that is where there is a practice page, and also on page 8, so you can reiterate where you want to put your story. Read through it, and as we said, it'll make it a little easier since we'll be on the phone. So you can just read straight from it what you've written on those pages. The line is the purpose, as Julie said, kind of the meat and potatoes of our hook, line, and sinker approach. It's talking about the story and the talking points that you personalize, and it's asking for our elected official to support. So example is we were asking for support on tobacco and tanning bed. And again, the sinker is the actual ask and letting the legislator or their staff talk about their position on the issues.
Finish on a positive note. Thank them for their time and their interest. Remember to let the elected official know that additional information will be emailed to them. And in our leave behind documents, we're going to have additional information about several bills that the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network is supporting and monitoring. House Bill 412 is a Rare Disease Advisory Council bill. House Bill 418 is non-medical switching. House Bill 469, out-of-pocket cost accumulator bill. And Senate Bill 121, health education standards. These bills are in various stages in chambers, and the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network will forward more information on these bills to the elected officials shortly after Cancer Action Day. And if you would like more information, talk to the guy on the bicycle. Jeff Stevens would be more than happy to go over that legislation with you. And don't forget to take a picture of yourself. This year it's a little more difficult. You won't be in an elected official's office. You'll be at home. But if you're on the phone, have somebody take a picture of you on the phone. If you're on the computer, do the same thing. Share it on social media and use Cancer Action Day's hashtag. It is hashtag Ohio Fights Cancer all together, and tag your elected official. Jeff and Lauren will be getting an entire list of the elected officials' names and their call names for the Facebook posts, and post something like this. Thank you at Peggy Lehner, my senator, for taking the time and talking to me about preventing cancer today. Post away. Or today we can make a difference for all cancer patients at Ohio Fights Cancer.
Great examples, Julie. So a few additional tips. Ways that we can maximize our effectiveness on our calls. So you want to stay on subject. Don't advocate for issues outside of our cancer asks. You want to be efficient and articulate, never hostile or angry. ACS CAN is a nonpartisan organization, so never mention your political affiliation. The meeting should be brief unless the legislator or their staff would like to chat about our asks on their connection to cancer. Answer any questions asked if you know the answer. If you don't know the answer, that's okay. Suggest that you'll pass along the question and the answer to staff, and that we'll get back to them, with the direct answer. That's what Lauren and Jeff are there for. Practice what you said out loud. So maybe practice before your call in the mirror or to someone that's at home with you. Script it out, like we said, on those training pages and your guide, and script out exactly what you'd like to say so you can just read it when you're on your call. Let's take advantage of the silver lining of being virtual, because it is going to be easier if we can just read and we're not put on the spot in person. Be sure to send a thank you email afterwards to your lawmaker or their staff. There will be suggestions of what you can write in the thank you and your training guide.
Okay, Lauren and Jeff, I think that's a wrap on our informational video. I hope it's everything you wanted it to be, and I'm excited to have everyone participate with us this year.
And thank you for your understanding and patience of us having to go virtual for this training, and for all the fun little peeps along the way, like my dog Remy, who was very excited he could join us today. We can't wait to see you virtually on May 14th.
Bye.